Hello, Richmond County residents. Celeste Gotell coming to you from Senior Center Without Walls for Richmond County with the latest edition of What's Happening. We compile a calendar each month that shares information on the various activities and events that are taking place in Richmond County that would be of interest to older adults. Normally, I prepare the calendar from Saturday to Saturday. This is one exception in that I was on holidays actually and only managed to get the last calendar out that brought us till April 30th. So I'm going to be starting this calendar on Thursday, May 1st, and it'll bring it through till Saturday, May 10th, and then I'll resume on my regular schedule. So I begin on Thursday morning with a coffee and conversation that takes place at the West Bay Community Center. That's from 12 till noon. And then Arlene from the Richmond Literacy Network will be offering her digital wellness program at the municipal office in Ayrshire from 9 till 12 noon. Now, if you don't know about this program, this is being offered free of charge for individuals that would like to have support with technology, whether it's their cell phone, computer, or laptop. And you can call the literacy office and book an appointment with Arlene, or you can also drop in and she'll be available to assist you. That afternoon, the adult drop-in program takes place at the St. Peter's Lion Hall from 1 to 4 p.m. And for more information, you can call Rachel at the Dr. Kingston Center. And then that evening, there'll be a paint night at La Picasse in Petit de Gras, and that is from 6:30 to 8:30. And you can call La Picasse to register for that event. The Riverdale Community Center will be having their annual general meeting in Low River at 7 p.m. And there'll be a 45 card game at 7:30 p.m. at the Discoos Civic Improvement Hall. Finally, on May 1st, Thursday evening at 7 p.m. at the West Bay Community Center, there's an event called May Day, and that's featuring a number of local artists and musicians by donation, and there'll be refreshment and door prizes. And for more information, you can give Mike a call at 345-09-0799. That brings us to Friday, May 2nd. So the Fiber Club Informal Knitting and Crocheting Group will be meeting at the Petit de Gras Library from 2 to 4 p.m. And the Straight Richmond Palliative Care Society will be kicking off Palliative Care Week, which begins the following week with what's called their Sunflower Day. Now, there will be volunteers available in locations throughout Richmond County. And they will be available to chat with people and answer questions. If you want to check that out, you can find them at the Gentilles in Ayrshire, the Louisdale Co-op, the Ayrshire Co-op, and Farmers Pantry in St. Peter's. That evening, Lois Landry, District 2 Councillor in Richmond County, will be hosting a community meeting at 6:30 p.m. at the Discoos Civic Improvement Hall. And then finally, there will be an indoor washer toss at the Acadiaville Community Center Hall at 7:30 p.m. That brings us to Saturday, May 3rd. So Saturday and May 3rd, if you want to get involved, there will be a community-wide roadside cleanup in Lordways, and that begins at Chapel Cove Road and will end at the Lordways Legion. There will also be a Meals on the Go session at the St. George's Channel Hall beginning at 10 a.m. And essentially for $5 or a slight higher cost, depending on the meal, you can get 2 to 3 cup servings of soup, chowder and spaghetti and meatballs, or baked beans. So that's a Meals on the Go program beginning at 10 a.m. at the St. George's Channel Hall. And then finally, on Saturday afternoon, you can check out the acoustic music session with Daniel LeBlanc at the Legion Branch 150 in Ayrshire, and that goes from about 2 to 4 p.m. That brings us to Monday, May 4th. So May 4th to May 10th is National Hospice Palliative Care Week, and as I mentioned earlier, you could check out Sunflower Day being brought to you by the Straight Richmond Palliative Care Society. Legion Branch 150 will have their regular monthly breakfast from 8 to 11 a.m. and the Almadam New Horizons Seniors Club will have their regular monthly meeting, and that begins at 1:30 p.m. Legion Branch 150 in Ayrshire at 2 p.m. will have an event, Battle of the Atlantic, and there'll be a light lunch provided, and that begins at 2 p.m. And then there'll be a cribbage tournament at 1 p.m. at the Lordways Community Center. New Horizons will have their regular cribbage at 7 p.m. at their club in Arishot. And there'll be a regular monthly meeting for the St. Louis Catholic Women's League at 7 o'clock at the Glenn Sampson Room in Louisdale. On to May 5th. Monday, May 5th begins Mental Health Week in Canada, and that runs from May 5th to May 11th. That morning, there's a Mass at 9:30 a.m. at the Discus Civic Improvement Hall. There'll be the regular beanbag games at La Picasse at 1 p.m. And District 2 Councillor Lois Landry will be hosting a community meeting at the Acadiaville Community Center in West Arishot, and that begins at 7 p.m. On to Tuesday the 6th. The Jolly Club will have their regular sewing group. That begins at 9 a.m. in Lordways. River Roots Farm Stand is now open, and that's in River Bourgeois, and that is open from 11 to 4 p.m. And then the River Roots Meals with Friends lunch will be happening 2 seatings at 11:30 and 12:30. Again, that's in River Bourgeois. It's by donation, and you have to call ahead to register. That evening, there will be 2 45 card games, one at the St. George's Channel at 7:30 p.m., and the other takes place at the Acadiaville Community Center in West Arishot at 7:30 p.m. On to Wednesday the 7th. So we've got our morning coffee at the St. George's Channel Hall from 10 till 12 noon. We have the Digital Wellness Richmond Literacy Program from 9:30 to 11:40, and that takes place at the Fleur de Lis Club at the Parish Hall. And then again from 1 to 3:15 p.m. at the Lordways Seniors Jolly Club in Lordways. And that's with Arlene, and she's available to provide you with some technology support. This will be the final seniors games and fun that will take place at 10 a.m. at the Louisdale Parish Hall, which is with the Fleur de Lis Club. They'll be wrapping that program up this week. And then line dancing will begin at the Louisdale Parish Hall that same afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. You can check out a River Roots Community Learning Garden from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And that's once a month. And that is an opportunity for people to come together, learn together. Anybody under the age of 12 is welcome. So it's an intergenerational program, but they must have an adult with them, and it's provided free. New Horizons Club has their 45 card game at 2 p.m. And then there's a mixed dart league at 7:30 p.m. at the Discus Civic Improvement Hall. I told you there was lots going on. We're on to Thursday the 8th. So again, back to coffee and conversation at West Bay Center at 12 till noon. Arlene will be available offering her digital wellness program through Richmond Literacy at the municipal office from 9 till 12. The adult day program takes place at St. Peter's Hall from 1 to 4 p.m. There's a craft evening that will happen at La Picasse, and that will be from 6:30 to 8:30. Richmond County Literacy will have their annual general meeting in St. Peter's on Grenville Street at 6:45 p.m. And there'll be a 45 card game at 7:30 p.m. at the Discus Civic Improvement Hall. On to Friday the 9th. So Friday the 9th, the New Horizons Club in Arishot will have their lunch and learn on grief, loss, and bereavement. And that begins at 11:30, and members need to call to register in advance. The informal knitting and crocheting group will be meeting at the Pettigrew Library from 2 to 4 p.m. And that will be the last event that they will have until September. So again, they'll wrap that program up in September. It's a drop-in program, come as you can kind of group. Mother's Day dessert will happening at La Picasse at 2:30, and there will be some music there and interviews with mums, and it's 7 o'clock if you want to participate in that. And then there'll be a trivia night at the Rocky Bay Irish Club in Rocky Bay beginning at 7 p.m. and an indoor washer toss taking place at the Acadiaville Community Center Hall at 7:30 p.m. in West Arishot. That brings me to Saturday the 10th, which is the wrap up for this particular edition. Mother's Day breakfast at the Grand River Seniors Club, and that's from 7 to 10 a.m. And that's at the Fire Hall. And then you can take part at the St. John's Center for Arts from 10 to 1 p.m. They'll be having a bake sale. And the Almadam Historical Society has their Mother's Day vintage cup and saucer sale, and that's from 11 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Memorial Drive in Arishot. The St. John Center for Arts will be hosting a basic rug hooking workshop that goes from 2 to 4:30 p.m. The kit's included, and you'll need to call Chrissy if you're interested in partaking in that, and that begins at 2, and you can call Chrissy at 902-623-2253 if you're interested in partaking in that. So that concludes the week of, or the period from May 1st to May 10th for this calendar edition of What's Happening. I thank you. I look forward to seeing you next time. And once again, this calendar is made possible by the generous funding that we have been provided by the Department of Seniors and Long-Term Care Age-Friendly Community Grant, which has allowed us to offer what we're calling our Senior Center Without Walls, a program that we provide multiple different services and programs working with our community partners throughout Richmond County. And this is one of the many things that we do. So thanks again. Have a wonderful day.